Hey guys, Matt from Newbquest.com here. I'm here with the latest development blog on my butterfly game that I'm developing in Unity. If you want to know more about the Newbquest project, it's me documenting my progress of learning to make games in Unity over at Newbquest.com. So I've made some changes to the game, and what I'll do is I'll just jump right into the demo and talk you through them as we go, and we could talk a little bit about what I did specifically afterwards, and I'll show you one or two of the scripts that I worked on. So let's just dive right in. So as you can hear, I added some background music. That's the music that I played in my last dev blog, and I've made some tweaks to the targeting system. Still not perfect, but it's getting there. The enemies are a lot more responsive, and you can see that I've added a health system. That's what that number there is. This is the third music loop, and so I've added this music system where it detects where you are in the game world. And you can also die. If your health gets below 0, you'll get zapped and die. So I've got this music system where if you're in one part of the world, you hear one thing, and then as you move past a certain point, it'll trigger into the next 8-bar loop. So there's 3 loops, which are kind of different, like energy states. And depending on where you are, see, here's the third one. Spatially in the game, it'll trigger the different loops. Still working on the balance between the music and the sound effects. But as you can see, it's getting sort of a bit more fun. Definitely need to cut back on the number of projectiles that it's possible to fire. But it's starting to kind of feel like a game, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, so those are the main changes that I made. We got the music, we've got an improved and more responsive targeting system for the enemies, and then we've got the health system there, and then so that you don't just die in one hit. So what I wanted to show you for a second is the music system. So what we've got here is we've got these spheres, which are triggers. Let's see if we can get that one on camera. It's kind of big. So this is the outermost sphere. If you can, can't really see it. It's very big. It fills basically the whole box, and that's what plays just this first loop. And then the second loop is here. So once you move inward a little bit, and then the third loop is here in the middle, and also sort of like up a little bit. And so what we've got is each one of these is a trigger with no mesh. So it's a sphere collider with is trigger turned on. It's got an audio source with this 8-bar loop of the music. And then there's a script here with 2 variables. This loop, which are both set in the inspector, 1 being the loop number, which is 1 is the intro, 2 is the sort of mid-tempo, and 3 is the up-tempo. And then a max volume. And I'm just using this to try to kind of mix them and balance them against the sound effects. And in the script itself, what we've got is a static variable that's available to it's available through globally, and I'm using that because I've got 3 instances of this script trying to talk to each other. I'm sure there's a better way to do that, but right now that's what I'm doing. And then we've got the variable this loop, which tells us which loop it is, and then the max volume, which you saw. These are the 2 that you set in the inspector. So when the game starts, it sets the audio volume of the first loop, or of all of them actually, to the max volume, and then turns it down, which is why there's a little click in the beginning. And then it sets the current music to 1, which is the first loop. Then when you trigger one of the spheres, when the player, so the player is tagged player, and so if the player, an object tagged player, collides with one of the music spheres, it sets the current music to this loop, right, the variable we set in the inspector. Then it gives us a little debug log code just to tell us what's playing, and it sets the audio volume for this audio source, right? Because this script is attached to the game object with the audio source to the max volume. So it basically turns up the music. And then in function update, it's just checking is the current music. So if the current music is not this loop, set the volume to 0, right? So what we're doing is we're cross fading between the different music loops. And at some point, I think it might be cool to have a more gradual fade. Right now, it just cuts. And I could probably do that with I guess a 4 loop. I got to figure that out. I'm not so good with those yet. But to kind of fade the music in over, maybe I could calculate the tempo in milliseconds and do that over a couple of bars so it's not so abrupt. I think that might be pretty cool. But for now, it's kind of cool. It reacts. It changes the music. You get a different feeling of intensity depending on where you are. We could also do this off of like game state. Maybe, I would have to figure out some kind of way to track the game state to say when things are getting intense and kick in the music. But right now, the geography thing is pretty cool, or the location in the space. And then in terms of my progress, so I added the player health. As you saw, this is a player health script that I got from YouTube. It's this guy, Jessie Etzler. Big shout out to him. It's a nice, really simple script, and he includes the code that you can just grab. And then I've got targeting enemies we saw, shooting missiles we saw, enemy shooting missiles we saw. Improved these a little bit. They're feeling a lot better. And then over here we've got the music system, assign tracks to game state, and crossfade between the parts. And in this case, game state is just where the player is. So making some pretty good progress. This was probably about 3.5 hours of work tonight to make the latest round of changes. Didn't get to work yesterday, so decided to put in some extra time today. And yeah, I'm feeling good. I gotta say, I'm happy that it's getting easier as I go. I'm learning more stuff, and it's going faster and less terrible struggles and headaches. So that's very nice. Yeah, so if you have a question or anything, hit me in the comments. If you'd like to use any of the scripts I've got going, I'm happy to point you to where to find them or share them. You can comment either on the YouTube channel or on my blog at newbquest.com. You can also subscribe on YouTube or via RSS to the blog. I'm also on the Unity forums, noob_quest. So if you want to come check me out there, I've got a work in progress thread where I'm posting updates about this stuff. And yeah, hope this was a little bit interesting, and thanks very much for watching.